Have Kim Emerson, the Omni BC and City Legislative reporter, join us from his office in Victoria. Good morning, Kim.
Good morning, Jody.
It's been a busy, well, few months, quite frankly, but the last couple of weeks certainly stunningly busy, and we're all still buzzing about Christy Clark and how soon she might be able to run in a by-election, given the fact that she lost her seat to David Eby.
Yeah, first time in 89 years a leader has lost for the winning party. Pretty amazing. But what can happen now is there are no MLAs. Let's just make that clear. There are no MLAs. It doesn't matter that these people have been elected. Final vote counts won't begin for another 6 days from now. That will take at least 3 days to get all of the votes counted. Once that's done, then they will declare victors. And those people's names will be put on the writs of election for all 85 districts. Then they will be forwarded to Government House. The Lieutenant Governor will have a look at them, and then on June 5th, she will decide with the clerk of the legislature when they're going to have the swearing-in ceremony. And once they do the swearing-in ceremony for the MLAs, at that time, someone can step down so that Christy Clark can have a by-election in what they will consider an extremely safe riding, which they thought that Vancouver Point Grey was for her as well, but David Eby proved them wrong there. So most likely it will be someone like Ralph Sultan on the North Shore, or it will be Linda Reid. Those ridings are extremely safe. I don't think you're going to see Rich Coleman step down. His riding's extremely safe as well. He's probably Clark's most loyal lieutenant, so I don't think he's going to step aside from politics.
Okay, Kim, Adrian Dix. At one point in the run-up to the election, a shoe-in to become the next Premier of British Columbia. Many expected. What happens to Adrian Dix now?
Well, this is kind of like the political version of Groundhog Day. We're waiting for Adrian to poke his head up and decide whether he sees his shadow and he hangs on for 4 more years, or whether he doesn't see his shadow and he decides to essentially move aside and let somebody else take over the leadership of the party. And right now, there's a big push to see him step aside. So you've got former MLA Guy Gentner saying it's awful, he should be out. You've got the president of the party, Mo Sahota, saying that no, he supports Adrian Dix, but that's exactly what the president should say. You've got John Horgan, the energy critic, who is very critical of the way the campaign was run, but Adrian had a lot to do with that. So essentially, he's going to decide, and we hope that we will see him poke his head out of the ground today, and then we'll know whether he sees his shadow or not.
I love that Kim and I always have a quick chat just before we do this, but we rarely discuss anything off the air because we like the spontaneity of on the air. And you said, you need to ask me what's not going to happen. What's not going to happen, Kim?
What is not going to happen is anything that the NDP promised that the Liberals don't want to have happen. And then very simply, it's a fairly long list, but let's just go to the short end. BC Rail, they're not going to have an inquiry into BC Rail. So we'll never know exactly what happened there. We'll never know exactly how the $6 million was provided for 2 employees of government to cover their legal costs, which was a violation of the acts that are in the provincial government. We'll never know what the review of BC Ferries might have shown up, and the happiest people about that are BC Ferries employees. And we'll never know exactly what's going to go on at BC Hydro. There's a $4 billion debt hanging out there, and that may grow under the Liberals. We'll never find out more about that. So those are some of the things we just won't find out about because the Liberals don't want you to know about. And you also won't find out anything about the BC Pavilion Corporation and what went on there with the naming rights and all of that kind of stuff. So these things we'll never get answers to because the Liberals don't want you to have answers to them.
So frustrating that our government can be such polarized sides that we're just simply not going to find out about those things. Kim, thank you for that. I do want to touch, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about the Senate scandal going on right now. This is the biggest ethical scandal really for Harper's government, no?
Oh, there's no question about that. I mean, this is probably the biggest scandal that he's faced ever. And personally, what I find embarrassing about it is these are former journalists who reported on this federally. They reported on the kinds of nose in the trough situations that you found with various members of the Senate or MPs. They reported on that. They exposed these people over and over and over. And it's an embarrassment, I think, to every media person, every media outlet, that their own went into the Senate and became the worst offenders, the worst violators. It really is offensive to all Canadians, and it should be offensive to all media outlets as well that former colleagues went into the Senate and just performed so horribly badly.
All right, Kim Emerson, thank you for your candid views. We appreciate it. Kim Emerson is our Omni BC City Legislative reporter, and we look forward to seeing you very soon, my friend.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.